Okay, so now let's talk about the determinants of demand. And whenever we talk about the determinants of demand, first of all, before we go into the nuts and bolts, so we have a demand curve. Let's make it, okay, maybe we have the price on the y-axis. And the quantity, or quantity demanded actually, on the x-axis, and as I mentioned in the earlier video, that's a little bit counterintuitive, but it's useful when we introduce more detailed graphical analyses. And let's say this is our demand function. Okay, so when we say what are determinants of demand, what we mean is how does that shift? What makes this demand curve shift? So whenever this shifts, that is what we call a change in demand. Okay, so that is a change in demand. But if, let's say, I move along a given demand schedule, let's make here, I have a certain point here, and I move along from one, this is a change in quantity demanded. So if you move from one point of the demand schedule to another one, that is a change in quantity demanded. But whenever this curve shifts, this is what we call a change in demand. Okay. So now, what are the determinants of demand? And you can think of them also as shifters. Yeah, maybe you want to think of those as shifters. Okay, so here a change in quantity demanded means a movement along a demand curve. So if the red dot is being shifted, that's a change in quantity demanded. And this means that the only determinant of quantity demanded is the price. So whenever you say, technically when you say what's the demand at the price of 9, the answer should be, the quantity demanded at the price of 9 is 1 or 2 or whatever it is. And a change in demand shifts the whole demand. So now, whenever the demand curve shifts to the right like this, that is what we call an increase in demand, and when it shifts to the left, that would be a decrease in demand. So what are the determinants of demand? And they are income. If you get richer, you will buy more at any price, and closely related is wealth. If you become wealthier, you typically buy more. Although there's a little bit, when it comes to income, we have to distinguish, actually, I should have mentioned that already here, but we will do it on the next slide. When income is a determinant, but it depends on whether the good is said to be a normal good, or an inferior good. Okay, but this is just some heads up for what's coming on the next slide, or an inferior good. Okay, wealth, typically what happens is if people get wealthier, they demand more no matter what the price is. And the way to think about it, let's say the price for something is here. So let's say this is the price, let's call that P star. And your current quantity demanded is, let's say, Q1. Well, if you get now richer, then even if the price does not change, there is no change in quantity demanded, obviously, because the price doesn't change. But let's say, you become richer, and at the given price, because you get richer, you start now consuming more, and you increase your quantity demanded from Q1 to Q2. So that was an increase in demand as a result of an income, and as we will later see, that implies that the good under consideration is a normal good. Okay, the same with wealth, and then we can talk about preference and expectations. They have an effect on the demand schedule and their shifts. And what's also very important is price of changes of related products, and related products can be substitutes and complements. But in the next couple of videos we will go into them into more detail and talk about these one by one.